Welcome and thank you for joining us for this particular edition of the 42 form. Today we're going to be talking about the third movement in the 42, that is single whip. We finished up last session with grasp the bird's tail, and you end up in a position here. Detailed instruction for this particular movement is, so you're here in a transition stance. This is a traditional Sun footwork. You've moved forward and done the press forward. Left hand is supporting. All we're going to do is we're going to drop the fingertips and lift the wrist of the right hand. So this is the grabbing motion here. And I like to teach this in terms of if you were grabbing the top of a soda bottle, right, and lifting it up. It's a good way of thinking about how this particular movement is. This is a grasping movement. So if you think about grabbing the top of a soda bottle, you'll get the overall effect of that. You also, the thing that you want to think about in terms of this, and we call this the dinosaur head in my classes, is you're actually forming like the head of a brontosaurus here. So you're grabbing and lifting up. So that'll keep your elbow and your wrist position in about the same height, or I mean at about the same angle that it needs to be as you lift up through here. So coming through here, we're going to grasp and lift, and then our transition to turn, you're going to take the left hand here and you're going to come across the body, keep the hand facing you until it reaches out here and then strikes forward. The footwork here is going to slide out into a bow stance as you strike through here. Now, some things that you want to make sure that you're doing here is you're going to transition and you're going to open your hips enough so that you're stepping out. You don't want to just step to the side, because then you're going to be off balance as you go through this. So it's really important to step and open those hips and then maintain your balance as you go through. Heel, ball, toe, forward, transition, and end up in the end component with this. So some common mistakes that people might make with this one is from here, okay, grasping through here and lifting up, they might just turn it into this and not do the lift. There is a lifting motion here, so I want you to think in terms of it's a slight movement. It's not bring it way up here, it's not bring it out to the side, but it is to grasp. And then you transition the left hand through. You don't just swing it around. This is not a horizontal movement, this is a vertical movement and coming across. You'll see the application and where that particular piece fits within there. Other common mistakes: stepping to the side directly, not opening up your hips. If you don't open up your hips, you're on a line as you're going through, and sometimes it's helpful to step. And you can see here I've got an actual grid pattern on my patio so that the heel of my right foot is on the line. As I step through here, my left foot is going to go on the other side of the line, so that as I turn and transition to the bow stance, the mountain climbing stance, there's a little bit of space in between. So you've got to open your hips as you do that. If you just step out to the side, you can look down and you can see your feet are on a straight line, and you're not going to be balanced as you go through the execution. The other thing to think here as you come through this particular movement, you don't lean forward, you don't come up over the knee, you don't stop prematurely. You've got to synchronize these movements here as it comes through. When your hand strikes, your knee movement should stop. So you're going to open your way through to this particular strike and come through here. You want to keep your chest rounded. You don't stick your bottom out. You don't thrust it too far forward. All of the same basic Tai Chi principles that we've talked about in some of the other videos in that particular movement. So we end up, come through and transition and finish. So with single whip, the application here is we're ending up here and we're talking about the grasping motion here and then stepping in. So a punch in this case comes through. We're grasping here at the wrist, we're lifting up, and then we're stepping in, and the movement here comes down as a strike here, right? And so it cuts into here as it comes down. So you want to think in terms of the movement here coming through and calling down. So again, her strike comes in, grab, step, and strike here. this is the holding part that we want to do, and so that's that grasping motion we think about, is we grab it at the wrist and then come through to separate. And that gives you the separation, that particular movement. The before and after sequence of single whip. So the movement before that, right, we were grasping the bird's tail and we ended up into our forward thrusting palm. Okay, we come through the transition and step out. Now the next movement, what we're going to do is we're going to turn. If you think about a grid pattern, if this is 0 degrees, this is 270 degrees, we're going to turn 45 degrees away from forward and go in this direction. So this transition here is going to be about 135 degrees for this. So from this particular movement, we're going to twist the waist and come through to do lift hands. So your movement stops here, and then you twist the waist and bring the left hand across to move into the next movement. So here's what the three movement sequence looks like. And so you end with lift hands, and that's our next video. Thank you for joining today. So, thanks for joining us for this particular session. Thank you.